In this video, I'll be demonstrating working a tubular cast on flat and then joining in the round. If you're a subscriber, welcome back. If you're new to my channel, welcome. I'm happy to have you here. If you enjoy this video, please give it a like and consider subscribing. So I like to work my tubular cast-ons flat and then join to work in the round after a few rows have been worked. This makes it so much less frustrating and more enjoyable to work the cast on and knit the first few rows and then join to work in the round. This comes in really handy with some tubular cast-ons like the Italian tubular cast-on, because when you try to cast on a large number of these stitches onto a circular needle especially, and then join to work in the round, those loops rotate around the needle really freely, and it's hard to see if you've accidentally twisted your stitches as you join to work in the round. So working that, which that's my favorite way to cast on for a tubular edge, but working that and then flat and doing a couple of rows, 2 or 4 rows of your double knitting for your ribbing and then joining to work in the round ensures that you do not twist those stitches when you then join to work in the round. Let me show you how this works. So this won't be an in-depth tutorial on how to work the Italian tubular cast on, but more of an idea of how it works knitting it flat and then joining it in the round. So I do have a video showing the Italian tubular cast on in depth. Click the link up here to see that video. So I'm going to quickly do a cast on of some number of stitches for my Italian tubular. I want to get enough stitches on here so that they start to get on the cable needle, or the cable portion of the circular needle, and you can see how these just wrap right around. And so it's nearly impossible to determine if you have twisted these stitches or not, because there's nothing there to indicate when you have them lined up, because they just want to wrap right around that cable portion. So instead of worrying about joining right now, I can begin knitting flat. So I want to make sure I had started, yes, I started with a knit, so I need to end with a purl stitch. So I have my even number of stitches. I like to undo that last loop and put it as a half hitch to secure it there so it doesn't fall off. That last stitch tends to want to fall off. So now I'm going to turn my work and begin working my series of double knitting rows, and I'll do just a set of 2 rows to make this go faster, and I'll speed up the knitting, but basically you are knitting the knit stitches and slipping the purl stitches with the yarn held in front of the work to work your tubular row. And we need to work pairs of our double knitting to create that tube. So I'll work 1 row of the double knitting here, knitting the knit stitches and slipping the purls with the yarn held in front, and I'll work a second row. So you can see these stitches want to wrap around, so you just find the next purl stitch and slip it with the yarn in front and find the next knit stitch and just untwist them as you get to them. The next row should go easier. Slip that last one with the yarn held in front and turn. And then I'll work one more double knitting row. Knitting the knit stitches and slipping the purls with the yarn held in front. This row is going easier. It's easier to see those stitches now. It's easier to see that they are nice and not twisted around the needle. And I'll slip the last stitch with the yarn held in front. Now I can turn my work and I have a very nice line of stitches. I can make sure they are nice and flat and not twisted. So when I end my pairs of double knitting rows, now I can begin my ribbing. And so this will be my right side, and I will begin my ribbing round. And so I will knit and purl across these stitches. Now, as I come to the end, I've purled, I can easily make sure these stitches are not twisted around the needles. There's enough fabric there to easily see that they're not twisted. I'm going to use the magic loop method and pull cable out. Get these back stitches onto the needle. Like so, and then pull the front needle out so that those stitches are on the cable. And then I get those pieces of fabric so they're not twisted. Sandwich them together, pinch them, turn so that this needle is ready to be worked so that I can join. Bring my working yarn, here's my tail, keep that out of the way. Bring my working yarn over and begin by, let's get that where it needs to be. It needs to be here, like so. And begin knitting that first stitch. I'll give a little tug and begin working in the round. Then later, so I've left myself a long enough tail here when I began my cast on, so that later, I don't have very much fabric here to show you, but later I can use this tail to seam up this very small gap where I worked flat for a few rows. And you won't even notice that there's a tiny seam there, and you've saved your sanity by casting on tubularly and working your tubular cast on, your tubular double knitting rows flat, and then joining in the round. I hope that made sense, and I hope that was helpful to you. Let me know in the comments below what you think of this method, and would you try this in the future to work a tubular cast on with less frustration? So I hope this was helpful. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and thank you so much for watching.